Hello once again, biology students. This is the video for the assignments and agenda that is for week 4 of the second semester. We really only have one thing going on this week with the week 4 assignments, which I will get into in a second. It is a lab report that you are going to create either on the computer, a computer file like Word or Google Docs, or you can create it on a piece of paper and just write it out. I'm going to walk you through this week because I got a feeling that a lot of you, this might be your first official formal lab report. And so I'm going to guide you through that on our classes throughout the week. And then remember, on Fridays, I'm here to help you if you get stuck on anything. The lab itself doesn't require a whole lot. It requires you being able to measure your pulse. You can either measure it like in your wrist, if you're able to do that, or if you want to measure it up here in your neck, that's another way to do that. That's the only kind of equipment you need is like a stopwatch, or you can use the stopwatch on your phone or on your computer or device. So I'm sure everybody's got at least an access to a clock or a stopwatch to do that. So how it's going to work this week is Monday and Tuesday, we're going to set up the lab report. I'm going to explain what you need to do. By Wednesday and Thursday, you should get the lab data. That means you do the actual experiment by the time we go to the next class. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to help you with the graphing and answering the questions. So I'm going to kind of walk you through this lab report, but you got to come to class this week. If you don't come to class this week, I mean, I can post the things that we create, but it's just not the same. So make sure you come to class this week and we can go over this stuff. All right, so let me show you what we're looking at for this week of week 4. Let me go back up to the top here. So pulse lab activity is what we got going on this week. It's the only thing we have going on. It's a full lab report. It'll take us the whole week. So that's the one and only thing you have to worry about this week. Assignment number 1, there's the lab activity. And so then under here, it says, what do I need to do? So this is the part where people get a little confused because they go, wait, there's this file down here. Don't I just download this file and fill it out? No, that's not going to get you the lab. Okay, that's the protocol that shows you all the things that you need to do, but that's not making a lab report. A lab report is like a paper or a research paper for like an English class. You type it up all yourself, you create everything all yourself, and you submit this one full report. So don't print this file out and then just fill it in thinking that's the way to go. That's not the way to go. What's in that file is what's in these pictures down below it here. This is the actual protocol. And so this has all the information that you need, but again, you're not just filling it in, okay? We're producing a lab report. So again, you can make this either on a separate sheet of paper, which is what I'm gonna do this week in class, or if you are tech savvy enough to be able to create this stuff on a computer, that's fine. If you wanna type up certain parts and then do other parts on a piece of paper, that's fine too, okay? I'm totally okay with that. Like for instance, maybe you wanna type up the writing for the lab report, but the graph, let's say you're not comfortable making graphs on Excel, so you wanna do the graph on a piece of paper. That's fine by me, that's totally okay. Just make sure you turn everything into Jupyter so I can grade all the different parts of the lab report. But that's okay. If you wanna do the whole thing on a piece of paper, fine. You wanna do the whole thing on the computer, that's fine too. So you can mix and match however you see fit. All right, so what we're gonna be doing on Monday and Tuesday are these first steps here. We'll put a heading on the paper, we'll give it a title, that's easy. We'll copy the experimental question, and so you're like, well, where's the experimental question? Well, like all things, it's in the protocol. So right here, you see experimental question. How will my body work to return to homeostasis if I exercise vigorously? Vigorously means like a lot, okay? So we're gonna copy that question. Your hypothesis will be you answering that question. So together in class, we will answer, how do we think our body will respond before we do the experiment? And I give you a sentence starter right here. I believe that after I exercise, my body will return to homeostasis by doing what? And it will take, how many minutes do you think it'll take for you to come back down to a regular heart rate? 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, who knows? Okay, you're taking an estimated guess. Based on what you already know about your body. Okay, so we'll do those together. Experiment, hypothesis, that's worth 4 points. This one's worth 7. For the procedure, Okay, I don't want you copying the full procedure. Again, where is the procedure? It's right here. This is a relatively small procedure because it's a relatively small lab. I don't want you copying this word for word. That's brainless and it doesn't help you at all. What I want you to do is I want you to read what it has here for number one, and then either put it in your own words by paraphrasing, or if you want to just shorten it, which is summarizing, or you can do both. It's up to you. I just want to make sure you capture all the main ideas out of here in what you write. So I will show you how to do that in class. Okay, you'll still have 6 steps, but they'll probably be shorter than this because you're paraphrasing and summarizing. Okay, and so that's on your own words, on your paper. That'll be worth 15 points. Then we will be doing data. Now we're doing 2 things for data. One, we're going to be copying the data tables, and then we're going to graph. Okay, so here are your data tables. Again, they're in the lab protocol. So we're going to recreate these on our lab report. Now, if you're doing this in Word, you can create tables in Word. Okay, but maybe you're like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. Okay, fine, create this on a piece of paper then. That's okay. It's totally up to you. I will again show you how to make these on Monday and Tuesday. And then when you do the experiment, you will fill it in here and here, and you'll fill it in here, and you'll do the calculation for over here. Okay. Now, at that point, you have to do the experiment and get the data. Okay, that's going to be on you to do it at your own house where you're at. Okay, and I'll get to what's going on in just a second. And then the data that you have right here is what you're going to be graphing. And I'm going to show you how to do that on Wednesday and Thursday. And so your graph, now here's a graph that comes from Excel. So here's my data. So this is an example of a data table. And here is an example of my graph. And so you can see my heart rate was going up and then down, up and then down, up and then down, based on my lab. And so if you want to make your graph on Excel and copy and paste it into a Word document, great. If you have no idea what I'm saying right now, then you might want to recreate this graph on a piece of paper, and I'll show you how to do that on Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, but either way, you got to take your data and you got to graph it. That's key. Okay, so the filling in the data table and creating the graph is going to be big. Okay, that's 30 points for your data. Okay, 10 points for the table, 20 points for the graph. And then once you have your data and it's all nice and graphed, you're going to do some data analysis, which is worth another 20 points. And what is that? So if you scroll down past the examples, there's 5 questions here about what happens in your lab. You should answer these in complete sentences. You don't need to put them in paragraph form, but yeah, I should give 2 to 3 sentences for each one, depending on what it's asking, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. But make sure you completely answer the question. And again, we'll talk about these a little bit more on Wednesday and Thursday. So here's the deal. On Wednesday and Thursday, I'm expecting you to have data. So I'm going to show you how to graph, and I'm going to show you how to answer the questions. If you don't have your data on Wednesday and Thursday, that's fine because it's not due until next Monday, but you're not going to have anything to graph at that point. You're going to have to wait to get data to graph. Okay. So it'd be better if you had your data by Wednesday and Thursday's class, so that way you could just get it done right then and there, and then you'll be done with the work for the week. Okay, so that's the lab report that we're making this week. All right, what is this lab? So I'm going to briefly explain what it is by looking at the data tables. So you're going to get a stopwatch, and you are going to first figure out what is your resting heart rate. And so we're going to try to figure out what it is in beats per minute, but we're only going to measure it for 30 seconds. So you're going to get your stopwatch, you're going to put it on a 30-second timer, and when you hit go, count the number of beats. Okay, so you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And then when the stopwatch hits 0, what number did you get? That'd be your first trial. Okay, to find out beats per minute, you just take that number and times it by 2. Okay, then you're going to do it again for trial number 2. Put it at 30 seconds, measure it again. Okay, let's say I got 22 this time. So then I go 22 times 2 would be 44 for beats per minute. I'm going to do it a third time. Okay, put your stopwatch at 30 seconds, measure it again. Okay, let's say I got 20 this time. Put 20 right here. 20 times 2 would be 40. And so then I've got 3 different measurements for my 3 different trials. I'm going to find the average. If you don't know how to find the average, it's like finding GPA. You add all three up and you divide by 3 because there are 3 numbers here. Okay, so that's how you get the average resting heartbeat. And what I mean by resting heartbeat or resting pulse rate is when you're at rest, when you're just normally resting, you're not doing too much crazy stuff, what is your heart rate? Okay. So whatever number you get right here for your average is the same. You're going to just put it in right here in the next data table. So it says beats per minute, average resting pulse rate. You don't have to calculate it because you already did that. And you just put this number right here. So if my average came out to 25, then 45, then I'll put 45 right here. Okay. That's my starting point. Now, you're going to need about 30 minutes of time where you're not really interrupted. So you might want to tell parents, little brothers and sisters, hey, I need 30 minutes. Don't bug me for 30 minutes. Because here's what you're going to do. Once you figure out your resting pulse rate, I want you to do some kind of rigorous exercise. You know, I don't mean just like lifting your arm like this. I mean like really something that like if you did it for a long time would make you sweat. Jumping jacks, running in place, you know, twists, bend down, bend up, push-ups, something that you feel comfortable. Don't hurt yourself, but put the timer for 3 minutes. Do that for 3 minutes. When the timer goes off, put the timer again on 30 seconds and then measure yourself. How many beats? And it's gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And then when the timer goes to 0 after 30 seconds, write that number down right here, okay? Then you're gonna rest for 5 minutes. So you put your timer on 5 minutes and you just sit and chill. Look at your phone if you want to, just relax, 5 minutes, resting, okay? After that 5 minutes, then do 30 seconds on the stopwatch again, measure how many beats, you write it down right here, okay? Then you're gonna exercise for 3 minutes more, take a measurement, then you're gonna rest for 5 minutes, take a measurement, then exercise for 3 minutes more, take a measurement, and then rest for 5 minutes, take a measurement, okay? So that's gonna be about 30 minutes right there. Now you're gonna have measurements right in here. That's for 30 seconds. So to get a beat per minute, you gotta times it by 2. So take this number times 2, you get that number. This number times 2, you get that number. And so you'll get all the numbers over here. And those are the data points that we're going to graph. So you're gonna graph these moments and beats per minute. So that's not the first column, that's the second column. Okay, so you're gonna take these numbers, that's gonna be the ones you graph, okay? And your graph is gonna look something like this. What was my resting pulse rate after 3 minutes exercise, after 5 minutes rest, after 3 minutes of exercise, after 5 minutes of rest, after 3 minutes of exercise, after 5 minutes of rest? And here's the key. If my resting is at 60 and after 5 minutes of rest, I'm still at 80, that means I did not come down to 60. So I did not get back to homeostasis after 5 minutes. So it would take me much longer to get back to homeostasis than 5 minutes. Maybe you might need 10 minutes, something like that. Who knows? But for this exercise, for this lab, it didn't come down in 5 minutes. Maybe yours does. We will see. And then based off of what we have in the data here, then we'll answer these 5 questions. Okay. So 30 minutes of time, you're gonna need some kind of stopwatch or timer, and you're gonna need 30 minutes where nobody's bugging you and being able to measure your pulse rate. That's it. That's our lab this week. And again, I will go over this with you on Monday and Tuesday when we set up the lab report. And if you run into any problems, send me a Jupyter message, text message me, or bring your questions to class, especially on Friday. That's what I'm there for on Friday, to help you guys out. Okay, I'll see you all in class on Monday and Tuesday. Have a good one.